that particular coin is referred to in coin books, and the books that you buy coins. It is called the Dawn of a New Day coin.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
And on the back, there's the eagle,
that's right.
The Akhenaten.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, the eagle always represented in all the ancient cultures of the world. The eagle was used. Rome used it. Greece, Babylonians, all the ancient peoples of the world used an eagle, and so does America.
Right.
And it's the reason why is because the eagle represented always the sun. Because the eagle was very high, it looks down on the earth, and it has clarity of its eyes, so it can see. That's why you have the all-seeing eye of God. The all-seeing eye on the pyramid is the sun. And it has to do with Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. It has to do with an occult symbolism coming out of the ancient world that only a handful of people are privy to know because they're the only ones that care to know. Happily in America, we have the ability to learn anything you want to. Our great country has provided for us the ability to be able to read, to study, and question anything and everything. Thank God we're the only people on the earth ever, and I do mean the only people on the earth who have ever had a written constitution that guaranteed the sovereignty of the individual person to have his own mind, to make your own choices, and to be free. We are the only people on the earth that have ever had a written constitution or a contract with people, with their government, to give us freedom. And that, my friend, is going very quickly, because this country, when it was founded, or America, when it was founded, made enemies in Europe, made some very big enemies in Europe. And those enemies have not forgotten. And they're coming back. It's not over yet.
Wow.
I mean, I've used the example of you come out of a restaurant, Italian restaurant, 2:00 in the morning, you get in a fight in the parking lot with somebody, and you beat him up, and everybody thinks you're big shot because you beat this guy up. What you don't know is he was with one of the mafia families, and it ain't over yet.
Right.
It's not over yet. They're coming back, and you don't know who it was that you beat up. So you're going to find out soon. They know where you live, and they're coming back. Well, that's exactly what happened when this country was founded. They decided to rebel against the authorities in Europe, which is, quote, the Vatican, the royalty and European royalty. The European royalty, including the British royalty, actually believe they have a divine right to rule over us. So they can ride around in gold chariots and smoke their cigars and drink their wine and sleep till 2 in the afternoon and live in luxury while the people crawl on their knees. Because why? Well, it's simple. They have a divine right to rule. Well, divine means God is giving them a right. Well, my God hasn't given anybody a right over me. Then you find out, no, all divine right kings have that divine right because the Pope said so. That's where you get the divine right, because the papacy anoints you to be king. Why? Obviously. Because God created the earth. He gave the earth to his son, Jesus. Jesus is not here right now, but he owns the earth. Therefore, we have to have somebody stand in for the owner of the earth, which is Jesus. But he's not here. He's busy elsewhere, so we'll have to have someone stand in for him. Well, that word is vicar, one who stands in for. And so we have a vicar of Christ who is the Holy Father. And so he owns the earth. You don't think so? Screw around with it and find out. Because your laws in America are all based on Vatican canon law. And there's a religio-political system in courts. And once you understand that religious system is based on Rome, this is why Catholic priests wear black robes. Well, so does a judge. And once you start seeing how this whole American religio-political system operates on a very ancient occult symbolism, words and terms. It's frightening when you find out how far gone we really are. We've not only lost our country, our freedom, we're in the process now of losing our minds. We can't even think anymore. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to get my fellow men to wake up. You'd be surprised at the condemnation I receive from around the world, especially in this country. People who think that I must be some kind of an Al-Qaeda agent or some Nazi or something because I'm talking about things they've never heard. I'm talking about reading books, going to libraries and studying and looking behind the curtain, looking behind the scenes to see who's running this planet.
Right.
That's all that craziness that Jordan Maxwell talks about. Well, my feeling is one day you're going to wake up and you're going to find out your country is finished. You have no longer any freedoms. And your masters who own you can do anything they want to you, and you have nothing to say about it.
Yeah.
So
I see where that is. Definitely.
Yeah, knowledge is power.
It's a sad situation. Okay, I was hoping to take a call if you don't mind.
That's fine.
Okay,
that's
great.
Fine. Doesn't mean I know the answer to it.
Okay, well, we'll see what he has to say. So, caller number 2, welcome to WMBR.
Pride comes before the fall. That was mentioned by Andy Scott's Sweet in the classic hit, Love is Like Oxygen.
Yeah. I've heard.
You're talking a lot about iconography here. You mentioned Pavlov's bells. Did you know that our fearless leader, Ed Markey, was an ice cream man in Lexington? So somewhere along the line, I think he had that very thought about people and how easily led they are, because all he had to do was ding those bells, and they all came out running with their money in hand.
That's it. Yeah, I'm afraid so. That's exactly right.
So people are going to get mutilated just like the livestock.
That's right.
The farmer's preference because we're property.
That's right. We certainly are. That's the law. We are
slavery, which goes back to Rome. Now, I'm a little bit irritated that it's always the mafia. The mafia being specifically an Italian reference. We just say cartels here?
Yeah.
But I'm a little more tolerant of it when you use it, because I think you probably, and I'd be glad to hear you go off in this direction, you'd probably tie it back to the Italian fascists, and I'm very interested in that. My model is that we defeated the fascists in World War II in order to incorporate them in the spy underworld, and that they basically have their way with the country. About schools and the coercion there, I'm one of the people that kind of was too hot for the system to handle. I got sent to one of those sort of punishment schools, Yeah. A couple of the authoritarians I knew were the people that eventually kind of lost it. You kind of touched on Shays' rebellion. Is that something that would be one of the intolerable, or the reaction to the trying to appease the Europeans?
Well, that has something to do with it. Yeah, it's really a very, as you probably already know, it's this whole subject of how America was set up, who did it, how it was operating, and in the beginning, and what happened to it in the 1840s, and then came a civil war, and after the Civil War, a privately owned corporation was set up called the United States Corporation, and then we all became, part of something called public policy, and our freedoms are gone, our humanity is gone, everything that we've ever hoped that America could do, all of it's gone. We're now nothing more than cannon fodder. But I'm really more concerned about if anybody asks me where I think all of this really bad stuff goes back to, I got to tell you, I think what's going on in America and around the world can be traced back to the Vatican. As far as I'm concerned, Rome ruled Europe, and all roads lead to Rome. And so for 2,100 years, Rome has dominated Europe, and Europe has dominated the world. And the Washington, D.C. is nothing more than a modern Rome. I mean, if you read the history books, you'll see that Caesar ruled Rome from up on the hill It was called Capitoline Hill, and he went up on the hill because that's where the Senate was, the Roman Senate.
That's because he really couldn't afford to live in the Hollywood Hills, wasn't it?
No. So the point I'm making is that we still have Rome. We're still up on the hill with the Senate and Caesar, who believes himself to be God over the earth, and all the senators, and the very word senator is a Latin word for an actor. Anyone on the stage who is acting is called a senator. I mean, a very word Congress and commerce. Look it up in a law dictionary. What does the word commerce and Congress mean? Both of those words are referring to sex. Sex in a law dictionary is called commerce, and the word Congress is connected to the word sex. So basically, sex is commerce and Congress, and then the Congress is up on the hill. All of this is very ancient stuff coming out of the Latin, coming out of the old Roman world. And today we are still, the more we change, the more we'll stay the same. We're still crawling on our knees to our Roman masters, never realizing that's what the Founding Fathers were trying to fight, and we just can't get enough of it. I mean, I'm just amazed how much people don't know what's going on right here in their own country.
Right.
I'd be interested to hear your take on the recent shooting and the anti-immigrant heat that surrounds it, just because that's kind of topical now.
Yeah, I know. Well, there was movies. I remember seeing a movie.
Well, let me sign off, though. Thank you.
Thanks for the call, caller.
Sure. There was a movie many years ago called Manchurian Candidate. And then it's been remade here recently, Manchurian Candidate. I think that's what's going on. I think a lot of these shootings and public killings where somebody walks in a restaurant and kills 10 people, and then they get up immediately, then all the pundits and all of the lackeys on television, on the nightly news, you have no idea in the world what these people on nightly news are really about. But they'll come on and talk about, well, you need to get rid of guns, and we need to get rid of all this. It's terrible. But I wouldn't be a bit surprised. It wouldn't shock me if most of these killings are Manchurian candidates. People have been trained and don't even know it. They've been party to some kind of mind control by government. I mean, my God, it's everywhere. All you got to do is just go to a library and sit and read about the experiments that government, this government in particular, has been doing to people for years. So, as far as I'm concerned, I question everything, because all it's doing, who is it that wins and who is it that gains by when these massive killings happen? What happens is that more and more totalitarian fascist laws are now locked onto the people. We lose more and more freedom. Well, we have to, because obviously, look at this terrible thing that happened. 6 people were killed. 6 people killed. What about how many people were killed in Vietnam? What about people who are being killed in the Central America or in the deserts of the Middle East? That's what governments do. That's what governments are best at. They kill people. And then they use the killing and the bloodshedding to get nations and get peoples to agree to certain of their requirements, so that these countries will be in compliance. And if you're not in compliance, we're going to have something called a war, in which we will kill your women, your children, we'll rape and plunder, and we will teach you a lesson that when we tell you that we have something for you to do, you have better jump and do it, because that's what governments are good at, is killing people.